నువ్వు చేస్తావా? వస్తుంది కదా సార్? వస్తుంది. ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ బ్యాక్కి వెళ్ళి మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి ఆన్ చేయి. ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ బ్యాక్కి వెళ్ళి మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి ఆన్ చేయి. 2 నిమిషాలు ఆగి. Good morning, students. Today I am beginning another new topic, and this is very important topic, students. That is mass disasters. As you know, the mass disasters are nowadays it is increasing like anything because of various reasons. Okay, and the most commonest mass disaster we encounter in road traffic accidents. Either it may be road accidents, or it may be train accident, or it may be even aircraft accidents. Okay, and also several other natural disasters. Okay, something like tsunamis, earthquakes. Okay, in so many other conditions are also we see mass disasters, and this is another important topic, students. Okay, so we'll go through. So what are the various mass disasters, and how do we investigate a case of mass disaster in forensic medicine point of view? Okay, we'll discuss today. According to the definition of mass disaster, WHO defined as occurrence that causes damage, ecological disruption, loss of human life, and deterioration of health and health services on a large scale, sufficient to warrant an extraordinary response from outside the affected community. So the way WHO defined, okay, the disaster as an occurrence that causes damage, ecological disruption, loss of human life, and deterioration of health and health services on a large scale, sufficient to warrant an extraordinary response from outside the affected community, that is called a mass disaster. So when to say that it is a mass disaster? There is a criteria, students. When deaths occur more than 12, so this is important. Okay, so when the deaths are more than 12 in a single event, any single incident, the deaths more than 12 is considered as a mass disaster. So it can occur in any way, students. It can be seen in natural disasters. Okay, the classification is in natural disasters. So that's what we discussed: earthquakes, landslides, tsunamis, floods, okay, volcanoes, droughts and famines. So even in droughts and famines, large number of people are affected. And biological, some of the disease epidemics. Okay, so this also resulting in a large number of people will be affected. And also a poisoning. Okay, the poisoning gases which are released into the environment. Okay, we had seen so many cases like carbon monoxide poisoning cases. Okay, large people are affected. Okay, so that resulting into deaths. So this is comes under natural mass disasters. Natural. The another one is accidental. Mass disasters can occur by accident. It is a man made a mistake. The one is traffic accidents. So it can be road accidents, or it can be sea accident, or it can be rail accident, or it can be aeroplane accidents. Accidents occur in industrial accidents. Okay, industries. So in industries, sometimes something like a blast like thing can occur. Fire injuries can occur. Or sometimes very poisonous gases may leak out from the industry, and that will be spread to a community, and a large number of people may be affected and die. So one of the best example I can give, that is methyl isocyanate tragedy. That incident was occurred in Bhopal. You can say Bhopal tragedy. Similarly, various fire accidents. Okay, so the building fires. Okay, so which is catching one house to another house. So like that, in larger houses, number of people may be affected. It can be due to a civil disturbance. So the people coming onto the streets and demonstrating some for their rights, or sometimes rights, police rights. So in these situations are also possibility of mass casualties. So recently we might have seen in several incidents occurred in Delhi and Uttar Pradesh areas. People came onto the street for demonstrations and police started firing. So many people died. So such kind of civil disturbances and even warfares. Okay, so warfares are also a very large number of casualties we can see. Similarly, terrorist activities. So Bombay attack. Okay, terrorist attack at Bombay. So it was happening recently, just few years back. So a terrorist entering into a civilian areas and firing many people, so that resulting into very large number of people casualties. And also sometimes mass poisoning, the poisoning which is affected to the large number of people. Mining accidents, and even sometimes it can be stampede, so that especially unregulated crowd. Okay, unregulated crowd, when they are suddenly something like in a chaos, when the crowd is running in different direction, some of the weak people may fall and other people may stampede. Of course, casualties can also occur in biological and chemical warfare. So nowadays, most of the warfares, they are by biological means, and also chemical warfare. So that also resulting into casualties of large number of people. So like this, a natural incidents can occur, and also sometimes accidental or man-made. So that can be resulting into large number of casualties. So whenever the deaths more than 12, we can say that it is a mass disaster. So some of the photograph students, so various disasters, cyclones which will resulting into floods, volcanoes eruption, earthquakes, floods, tsunami disasters. So these are all various natural disasters that resulting into mass disaster. So man-made, accidental industrial accidents, road accidents, mass poisoning. Mass poisoning, this occur either maybe due to a food poisoning or sometimes something like a liquor poisoning. You might have heard so many incidents, adulterated toddy. Okay, so that can be resulting into large number of people consumed that adulterated toddy and died. Similarly, methyl alcohol tragedy. So instead of ethyl alcohol, some people might have consumed methyl alcohol. Okay, large number of people consumed methyl alcohol, that resulting into a tragedy. Something like in a disease epidemics. Okay, now we are encountered this problem. We are facing this problem, disease epidemics. A large number of people sometimes. Okay, so will be affected. Okay, so that resulting into very large casualties. So these are all some of the examples of mass disaster occur due to accidents, man-made. So coming to the investigation. So what is the role of a forensic doctor in mass disaster cases? There are three important things we're supposed to keep in our mind. The one is very important one is identity of the victims. Okay, we supposed to identify every victim. It is not an easy job. If the body is as it is after the incident, if the body is as it is very easy to detect because of the features of the body. It is well preserved features is available, so that it is very easy to identify a person. Various means like even unknown bodies, various means like cloths which are present over the body. The other things like tattoos, sometimes even a fingerprinting technology. Okay, so these are all the helpful for even identifying the unknown person. So if the facial features are intact, it is very easy. We can take the photograph and we can just publish in the press, electronic and print media. Then we can easily identify the person. The problem of identity becomes difficulty in mass disasters when the bodies are made into multiple pieces. Okay, when a body blown into multiple pieces. So this kind of things usually occur in bomb blast cases. Similarly, in fire accident cases, when the body is charred and becomes totally black, so that it is very, very difficult. Or sometimes if somebody died and identified, the bodies are identified maybe after 4 days or 5 days, by the time the bodies were totally decomposed. Then these are the circumstances where the difficulty, identification becomes the biggest difficulty. As you know, students, so fingerprinting technology nowadays, it is a very wonderful technology. So we have a fingerprint database in the country, very well, that is Aadhaar. So every individual fingerprints data is available with the government. So I think this is one of the biggest database in the world, that is our fingerprint database, that is Aadhaar database. So if at all we can able to extract the fingerprint, then it is very easy to identify the victim. Similarly, the other technique we use is a DNA fingerprinting technology, so that if a body parts are available, so that we can preserve the tissue, especially the bone. Either we can take the femur, okay, or else we can also take the tooth, preferably either a molar or a premolar or a canine tooth. Okay, so we supposed to preserve these bones and forward to the forensic science laboratories, and they can do the DNA fingerprinting technology and they can easily identify the victims. So identification is a very, very important thing in mass disaster. This is becoming very, very difficult. Sometimes when the large number of people, when they are burned and charred, and it is very difficult to identify by their external features. When the clothes are burnt off, okay, entire the body is totally black and charred, and it is very difficult to identify in some circumstances, such cases, so that we can also use other techniques like DNA fingerprinting technology. If we can able to take out some tissue, okay, it is possible, or any metallic parts or anything found in the body, okay, so which is still intact. Based on that also, with the help of their family members, we can identify the victims. So identification is the biggest challenge to a forensic doctor. And another important thing is we supposed to find out the cause of the disaster. So there are various incidences. Okay, we supposed to find out what is the cause of the disaster. So that is there any accident? So road traffic accident. Large number of people died in that accident. So we supposed to find out the reasons of accident. So what was the condition of the driver at the time of driving the vehicle? So whether he got any suffering from any sudden, something like an epilepsy, okay, suddenly become an unconscious and met with an accident, or the driver already under the influence of alcohol, so that intellectual functions are impaired, okay, and even motor skills are also impaired, and that might be resulting to the accident. Similarly, even in aircraft accidents also, so the dead bodies of the, especially in the especially in the pilots, okay, so that we can able to identify any poisoning, okay, either suffering from any poisoning, or they were already consumed any alcohol. So what was the reason for that accident, or were they suffering from any diseases? So those things we supposed to be identified, okay. Or sometimes blast cases, okay, so bomb blast cases, what kind of material they used in that bomb. So a team of experts, okay, and especially experts in their field, something like ballistic experts, bomb experts, okay, they can easily tell what is the reason for that disaster. So any building collapsed, so what is the reason why that building collapsed? Is there any blast effect, or is there any weak construction? So any engineering technical failures? So like that, the cause of the disaster, a team should be formed, okay, all experts to be there in the team, and the cause of the disaster to be identified. Another important one is search for evidence material. So unless you get a evidence material, then only it is possible. We discussed it in several times, students. In firearm injuries cases, we used to search for the crime bullet, okay, the bullet which were recovered from the crime scene area. Sometimes the bullet, if there is entry-exit wound, the bullet may be present over the crime scene area. Only entry wound, the bullet may be present in the body. So that the recovery of the evidence material is very, very important. So if you can able to identify, you can able to write, okay, crime bullet, and also with the test bullet that we fired in the laboratory with particular ammunition, we can easily link up to the crime. Similarly, the clues team, okay, the clues team, all experts are there in the clues team. Something like a person can able to extract the fingerprints, somebody will extract the very trace elements, like very trace evidences, small minute materials they collect from the crime scene area. Somebody may collect the hair, like that, okay. So all these materials, trace elements also they will collect from the crime scene area. All evidence material they try to collect from the crime scene area, and they reconstruct the case, okay, and they try to establish what is the cause for that incident. So this is very, very important. Similarly, even the bomb blast cases, they try to extract the material, what material were used in that particular bomb. So what is the impact, okay, while large people are died in that particular blast, okay, based on the evidence material collected from the crime scene area, and that is very, very helpful to find out the cause of the disaster. So that in any mass disaster, the most important investigation part is, one is to identify the victim, to find out the cause of the disaster, and we should also search for the evidence material. So this is very, very important. Sometimes evidence material is very essential to even investigate, the police to investigate the case and to find out the accused person, to find out the criminal who involved in that particular crime. Unless the scientifically we can able to, the link is established, then only the law can give punishment. So that is why evidence material collection from the crime scene is very, very important in any, especially in mass disaster investigation. So as we discussed, some coordination should be there in management of mass disaster. Bodies should be recovered from the area of the crime, area of the incident, okay. Number of bodies, sometimes the bodies may be, entire the body may be intact, or sometimes the body may be mutilated, okay. Even the mutilated bodies are also, all the body parts from that area supposed to collect, recover, that is very important, and we are supposed to give the number, okay. So those bodies must be immediately transferred to the mortuary and supposed to store in the mortuary. and identification of the dead body is possible. Okay, if the body is intact, if the relatives were available, if something like identity cards or something available in the dead body, so that it is very easy for identification. Otherwise we take some other methods to identification of the dead body. Information management, so that time to time information, so we supposed to pass on to the relatives and all. Long term storage if it is required, so that we should have a refrigerator facility. So sometimes identification become a difficulty, so that we supposed to keep the body in the refrigerator, so till the body to be identified. And disposal of the dead bodies is also another important one. So sometimes unknown body, unclaimed bodies, okay, so supposed to be disposed. And another important thing is communication and the media. So information should reach to the people, right information should reach to the people, so that we have to establish one communication media room, so that one person to be authorized to communicate the information. So if many number of people start communicating, so that there may be a possibility of wrong information may reach to the society, or one gives some information, other gives some other information, so that there will be some contradiction of their own information system. So that's why to avoid that, so we should establish a communication room, and a person to be designated to communicate in a time to time information is supposed to give to the society. That is also very, very important. And the most important thing is support to the families and relatives. So we supposed to support every family member, because any death in any family is the biggest ultimate tragedy. We can say that the very saddest tragedy. So that support the family members is very, very important. Very empathical way we supposed to approach. And the family members are almost in a very deep sad and also sometimes depression state, so that we take them and we should interact with them, and we supposed to give a proper counseling to them. If required, even a psychiatric counseling we supposed to give to the family members and relatives. So these are some of the important things we supposed to remember, and we'll see what further we can able to do. So in any mass disaster cases, in investigations, usually there are in 3 phases. Okay, first phase, second phase, and third phase. What we supposed to do in a first phase? So in the first phase, at the accident site, the most important thing is isolation is very, very important. Okay, demarcation and protection of the site is very, very important. So you might have seen in so many pictures are also a yellow color ribbon they will just put at the crime scene area. Okay, the complete crime scene area which is surrounded by an yellow color ribbon. Okay, so that only an authorized person only supposed to enter inside. Okay, so other members like visitors or other people, unrelated people, they are not supposed to enter into that crime scene area. So that crime scene area should be properly protected by using some colored yellow color ribbon. They commonly they use. So they used to put an yellow color ribbon the entire surrounding of that crime scene area. Okay, they try to demarcate the area, so that any other person, okay, which are not related to that investigation team, so they are not supposed to enter into that crime scene area. Whoever want to visit or enter inside the crime scene area must take a permission from the investigating police officer. So this is very, very important, because isolation is very important, students, because in crime scene area there may be so many material, maybe some small hair, or maybe some small objects, or maybe sometimes maybe fingerprints, or maybe some footprints, all are present in the crime scene area. If the visitors are also entering, the visitor footprints and the criminal footprints which will be sometimes in the same area, the visitors are also moving, it is very difficult, okay, for the investigation to proceed further. So that is why demarcation of the crime scene area is very, very important. And we should also first and foremost thing we supposed to check any mass disaster occur, any survivors are there. That is very, very important. Ultimately what is the most important duty of the doctor is only to save the life of our patients. Okay, that is the first and foremost duty. All other legal duties it will become secondary. The first foremost duty is to give life. If there are any survivors are available, we supposed to take care of those survivors. So that we should search in the in an area of crimes in India or any incident areas. Any survivors are there. So if any survivors are there, if anybody is still there is a life, so we supposed to rescue them, and we supposed to immediately shift them to the nearby hospital. Okay, and we also the very systematic management that's called triage. So triage is a priority based treatment whenever there is a large number of people who are affected. When the large number of people are brought to any hospital, so that in that particular hospital the facilities are less. Okay, like there is some shortage of doctors, some shortage of nurses. Okay, very less number of beds are available, and other infrastructure is also very less, and it is very difficulty to give facilities for that large number of people in such circumstances. So we apply triage. So it is the very important one is the priority, to whom to give a priority. So that is very important. So there are cases like maybe sometimes there will be serious head injury, intracranial even hemorrhages were there. Okay, some patient was in a condition something like coma, but still the vital centers are still intact, so that the person still alive. Maybe the pulse or heart rate or some breathing is there, but person is in deep coma. There were multiple injuries in the brain. Similarly, there are other people with other injuries, okay, which are also brought to the casualty emergency. So to whom we supposed to give a treatment is very important. So the survival possibility is more in which case. Okay, so in some cases in spite of your effort, whatever effort you can put, but it is ultimately the results are very negligible. But some cases if you try to rescue, there is every possibility that you can save the life. Okay, so that is called prioritized treatment. So who are going to be survived? Okay, who are going to be hopeless? Okay, in hopeless cases doctors are spending more time. Okay, and the person can able to survive is ignoring. So again this person is also going to die. Anyhow this person hopeless case is going to be die, the another person also is going to die. So that is why triage is very important. So segregation and selection, okay, prioritized treatment, okay, whenever the large number of people, okay, affected people when they are brought to the hospital, and this triage is supposed to apply. So that if there are in that incident affected area there are dead bodies, large number of people died in that area. So first and foremost thing is location is very important. So location map, we supposed to draw a location map. So in that location map how many dead bodies and where in which area you found the dead body, so that in a rough location map, and we supposed to give a number for each dead body at the location site where you found that body. Like that you supposed to draw a small map and supposed to show from where the dead body you located. So this is very important. And we should also preserve the crime scene by taking various photographs also, and label with a number. So each dead body we supposed to label with a number. So this is also very important, because most of the time the bodies were initially unknown and later it will be turned into known body. So that is why every dead body is supposed to give a number. By chance if something like blast cases, okay, if the bodies were not intact, there were many mutilated body parts found in that area, so that you supposed to recover each and every mutilated body part, and you supposed to give a number for each and every mutilated body part. Okay, that is also very important. As I told you, the photograph is very important to preserve the crime scenario as it is. so that in next during for crime investigation process, so the initial crime scene area preservation is very very important. That's why it's supposed to be preserved, as I told you, like just mapping, and also we can also take the photograph. So any if skeletal anomalies, okay, any skeletal body, if there has we found any body, so that based on the sometimes skeletal anomalies also we can able to identify the individual. So the next part comes is identification. So identification by various means, maybe skeletal anomalies, maybe dental charting, superimposition technique, fingerprint technique, okay. Sometimes when scars which are present over the body, sometimes various modes present over the tattoos present over the body, modes present over the body, or any specific feature which is present over the body. Those are all helpful for identification of the individual. And of course we should also preserve the DNA, collect the DNA, and we're supposed to be preserved, because sometimes in mutilated bodies DNA is the ultimate, so that it is useful for identification. So these are the things are very very important in first phase, okay. So in incidents, okay, when there are large number of casualties, okay, first locate that area, take proper photograph. So search for the dead bodies, and where you found the dead body, like that you should have a map, and you should also take the photograph. And every dead body is supposed to give a number, including if at all the body are mutilated into body parts, we are supposed to give a number to all the mutilated body parts, okay. And transport those bodies without much disturbance to the nearest mortuary. So this is very very important. Photograph is very very important. So full length body photograph, if clothes are present over the body, that will be very very helpful for identification sometimes. So close photograph of the face is also very important, okay. Close photograph of the face, whole face supposed to be covered, whole body supposed to cover, upper part of the body photograph, lower part of the body part photographs, like in various angles we supposed to take, and all this very very important for identification of the victim. And also so recording the body, so and place in a container, okay. So normally we use a container which is a transparent container, okay. We should not use something like if it is not a transparent, then it is very difficult to identification of the body. Each time you have to open the bag and see, okay. So that's why a transparent container, so that it is visible, that cover is transparent, so that the dead body is clearly visible. So like such kind of material we supposed to be used, okay. So we supposed to put it in a bag, transparent bag, and put an identification number to the body, okay. So another important to make sure that the things belongs to one body are not assigned to the another. So very very important thing is if any material you found related to one body, okay, so you supposed to be put it in that particular cover only, because otherwise the materials which may be exchanged, one body material may be exchanged to other body, maybe things, articles, sometimes it will become very difficult in identification. It is very confusing for the relatives also. So that is why, so this is very very important. Something like we use a polythene cover, transparent one, okay. So it should be a transparent, okay, so that it is visible even by outside. The number, the dead body features to be visible, so that it is easy for identification, okay. And as I told you, media room is very very important. Immediately we are supposed to be establish the media room, and we should designate a person, and so that that particular person only will give time to time information to the media, so that there will not be any confusion, there will not be ambiguity like informations or double information. So such things will not occur. So that is why immediately we should establish a media room, and one person to be designated, one person to be authorized to give information to the media. So that is very very important. And most important, as I told you, counseling room. We are supposed to establish the counseling room, and we are supposed to give a counseling to the relatives and family members of the victims is very very important. So this is also very important in mass disaster cases. When it is coming to the second phase, that is in the mortuary. So when the bodies are transferred to the mortuary, then the most important thing is, so sometimes if casualties are a large number and the bodies are transferring to the mortuary, if it is a long distance, okay, mortuary is in a long distance, so transportation is also sometimes very difficult, right? It is not so easy to transfer the dead body. So during transportation also sometimes we may lose some very important evidence materials. So in such cases, especially in large number of casualties are there, so it is always better to establish a temporary mortuary at the site, at the incident site. So we supposed to establish the temporary mortuary, and a team of doctors supposed to visit to that area. So that is construction of the temporary mortuary, and we should start working there itself rather than shifting the bodies from the scene to the mortuary. So if it is possible, okay, we can transfer. Okay, it is always better, examination done in mortuary is always better, because the mortuary is a well equipped place with a lot of other supports. Okay, other interdepartmental supports which are all there in the mortuary. So that is why conducting autopsy in the mortuary is always ideal. But sometimes if it is not possible, like large number of casualties, shifting of the dead bodies difficulty, or sometimes investigating officer may feel that while shifting some of the important evidential materials may lose. So in such cases, the autopsies can be conducted at the site by establishing the temporary mortuary if required. And another important point is refrigeration facility. So that a refrigeration facility also is very, very important, so that the bodies should kept in the refrigerator, so that the preservation of the body. Otherwise, during investigation process, within 2 to 3 days, these bodies will be decomposed, and again it is very difficult for identification. And sometimes we may not be in a position to establish cause of death. So we may lose some important evidence materials. So that's why refrigeration of the bodies are very, very important. We should provide the refrigeration facility, and we supposed to form a team of the doctors, a forensic doctor, if required a pathologist. Okay, so and another important one is a requirement of if required even a radiologist, or if any toxicologist is available. In some countries toxicology is a separate branch, but in India, of course, a forensic medicine doctor is also dealing toxicology. Our subject is forensic medicine and toxicology. But in some countries, there is an expert of toxicology. So like that, a team will be formed. Okay. So a forensic doctor and a pathologist and a radiologist. Okay. If required, a dentist for dental charting. So immediately a team should be formed and supposed to examine the bodies. So this is very, very important one. Okay. So as I told you, the team, a pathologist, a police officer, of course, investigating police officer, forensic odontologist, dentist, and also if required even a radiologist. Okay, so depending upon the circumstance, situation, so should also form a team. Okay, a radiologist also in the team, establish the team, and team supposed to examine the body. Okay, all the team supposed to examine the body. So that is always better rather than one individual examining the body. So like this, whenever there are large number of people were died, we supposed to establish the temporary field mortuary. It's called a temporary field mortuary, something like tents and other materials. A temporary field mortuary is supposed to establish. And segregation of the body, identification of the body. If require, a temporary refrigerator facilities are also should be provided at the area. Okay, so those facilities we are supposed to arrange. So like that, the bodies are segregated. So even disposal also. If unknown bodies, unclaimed bodies, we wait for some time. If nobody, claim the body, then the government only will dispose the bodies. So those arrangements also we are supposed to make. So in the second phase, another important thing is, the team supposed to be formed and examine the body carefully. A thorough external examination is very, very important. The first and foremost thing, as I told you, that is identification. Identification of the individual is very, very essential. So if it is a known body, we need not to worry about identification, but if it is an unknown body, we should take a lot of care to identify the body. So proper photographs to be taken. We should also collect the fingerprints, that is very, very important. We should also collect the DNA either from the femoral bone or from the molar tooth, okay. So those materials are supposed to be collected, okay. So if there are bodies are mutilated bodies, and we supposed to proceed like examination of the mutilated bodies. So we supposed to identify the sex of the body, we supposed to identify the age of the body, we supposed to estimate the stature of the body, okay. So these are all things are very, very essential for investigating purpose and also identification purpose. So mutilated bodies, most of the time we depend upon DNA fingerprinting technology for identification of the bodies, okay. So we should also examine if there are any skeleton remains present over the area, so that we should also identify the skeletal things, okay. So careful examination of the body, careful dissection of the body, all the injuries we are supposed to note down systematically, okay. External examination, all the injuries we are supposed to note down in systematically, or any specific stains which are present, so you are supposed to note down, okay. And internal examination, a thorough internal examination, okay. Sometimes we are not in a position in firearm injury cases, we are not in a position to identify the bullet, okay. There is an entry wound, no exit wound, but bullet took a different path in the body and lodged somewhere in the body. So we might we are already discussed, right? So sometimes a bullet emboli, so it go along the circulation, it will be lodged somewhere, or it take a different deflected path and it will be lodged somewhere in the body. So when we are doing an autopsy along the track, you may not find the bullet. So in such cases, difficulty cases, you should also take some x-rays, okay. So radiologist support, x-rays are very, very important, so that you can locate the bullet and recover. So like that, any abnormalities in the skeleton, so those are the things are also very, very important for identification. Similarly, dental charting is also very, very important, so that dental charting is useful for for identification purpose, which is very, very useful, okay. And also we supposed to collect the molar tooth or sometimes premolar or canine tooth for even a DNA fingerprinting purpose, okay. In poisoning cases, we can also recover some of the poison even from the bone, that is from the tooth. So like this, these are all experts are essential. So a thorough autopsy, thorough external examination, thorough internal examination, okay, collecting every minute material which are recovered from the body, supposed to hand over to the investigating police officer, is very, very important, especially when we are doing a dissection in the mass disaster. So coming to the third phase, see, in this third phase, the most important one is summing up of first and second phase. So what are the things which are in the first phase and also in the second phase? What are the information you got in a first phase and information you got in a second phase? Based on the summation of this first and second phase, then it is very easy to come to a conclusion. And another important thing is the reconstruction of incidents. The incident is also very, very important. So based on the information available in the first and second phase, you can also reconstruct the entire incident. So how incident occur, what could be the reason, okay. So everything you can able to explain, by properly reconstructing the incident by summating the first and second phases. For example, a plane accident, okay. There were many passengers in the flight, all are died. So when we enter into the pilot chamber, okay, so there were around 2 bodies which are present. The bodies may be, there might be a seat belt, okay. The bodies are intact in the chair, in the pilot seat, okay. The bodies almost are charred to death, but still we try to examine the body and we try to explain whether any poison or any alcohol which is present over the body. The percentage of alcohol is very, very high, so we can easily explain the incident occur might be due to the the pilot at the time of incident was high alcohol level, so that might be the reason for the accidents. So like that we can able to explain by reconstruction of the crime incident. Okay, so what are the incidents are in the first phase, what are the incidents in the information in the first phase, information from the second phase. So we can sum up these information. Okay, we can reconstruct the incident, and we try to explain the reasons of, okay, what are the causes for that incident, we can able to explain. So these are the things are very, very important in mass disaster. So students, national level, National Center for Disaster Management, it was established in the year 1995 by the Ministry of Agriculture, and later it is upgraded as a National Institute of Disaster Management, NIDM. So on the 16th October 2003. So, and the matter from the Ministry of Agriculture, it has now transferred to the Ministry of Home Affairs. So National Institute of Disaster Management, NIDM, it was established in the year 2003. Now it is under the control of Ministry of Home Affairs. So whenever the disaster occurs, so that the disaster management committee team members will rush up to that area, and they do all these, okay, things in a systematic way. So this is about mass disaster. Okay, thank you. So please remember, okay, there are phases in the investigation. Okay, those phases are important, and what are the objectives, very, very important. Okay, so sometimes in examination you may get a short question, okay, from this topic. Thank you, students.